3, 2, what up, y'all? Welcome back to La Prensa, Texas. Today we are here with
Norma Cavazos, Harlandale ISD Board President.
And we're here today to talk about the final part of Proposition A, which is that $30 million task fund that would be a community decided task fund. Tell people more what that even is, because we've never seen anything like this for any bonds.
So, if the bond passes, there will be about $30 million that has not been allocated yet. It doesn't mean we're going to have that money just floating around. It means that as a district and as a community, it is important for us to have a two-way communication with the residents of Harlandale ISD. This is their chance. This is their chance to put their name into that committee. There is no cap on the committee. We're not going to handpick people. This is staff, teachers, residents, whoever wants to be in the committee and have a voice as to how this money is going to be spent and where it's going to be spent. By all means, sign up. It is important for them to sign up if this bond passes. We want to be clear and transparent with our community. I know that we have the community's trust, and in order for us to continue to have that trust, I think it's important that all of us, not just administration, not just board members, but the residents of Harlandale, to have an invested voice in what is going to happen in our district if this bond passes, particular with that $30 million.
You mentioned trust. Let's talk about trust. So I think there's a lot of folks out there who either trust the new regime, you and your compatriots who came in at the same time, or are willing to give you all the benefit of the doubt. Because past boards have burned us as a community. They've done things with the money that they didn't tell us they were going to do. They've wasted our tax dollars, and that's hard-earned money, Each one of us hates to give that money up in taxes, but we do it because we believe in the community. So let's talk a little bit more about trust. What is it that you are going to do different to make sure that that money is safeguarded and it's not used by unscrupulous characters to just line their own pockets as opposed to do good for the students?
I can honestly say that everyone on the board, we have a mission. The mission is to be clear and transparent. I cannot speak for anybody that has been in the board in the past. I can only speak as of the day I came in. And our roles are different. They're different because we now know what our role is, what lawfully and legally as a board member we are allowed to do. And I know for a fact that those that sit in the table, that share that board table with me, I know their vision is student success. And what better way to do that than to focus on what is right and what should have been happening all along. I certainly am accountable for what now is my responsibility, and I'm holding everyone in our district accountable too. The community needs to hold us accountable, and I think they're doing a very good job of reminding us constantly, we see you, we believe in you, we are going to trust you. And that is why I feel we have that community trust now, because since we became the new Harlandale, since we became this new board with this new administration, with this vision of success for our children first and foremost always, I think the community sees that. They see changes. They see we're moving forward. They see that what we say is what we're doing. And I'm truly, truly glad that they can see we do have their children in the best interest in our hearts, and we want to see them succeed.
So we look at you, you're the school board president, buck stops with you.
Yes, it
Right.
does.
So if one of your fellow board members was acting in a kind of bad or shady manner, what would you do to make sure that they weren't able to succeed in whatever their ill intentions might be? And this is, again, just a hypothetical. What would you do as the board president?
You said it. The buck stops with me. There is a huge responsibility as a board president. It doesn't mean that the other board members do not have the same responsibility. I am entrusting that we all are doing what is right and what we set out to do, what we advocated for, what we ran for office for. I've said it in the past, and I've said it in open session, and there's video out there. Whatever was the norm before, it will no longer be. Since I became board president, I am just, my heels are dug in the dirt that says I will not allow it. If I hear anything, if I know anything, I will bring it up to whoever I need to bring it up, because it is also my children that they are not being truthful and loyal to as far as what they advocated they would do. I trust everybody on this board. I am not here to pass judgment on past boards or past trustees. I am here to say that I hold everyone that shares that table with me accountable, and I know they will not do wrong by what we have done so far. We've come a long way, Roy. Yeah. Let's face it. When we first got on the board, when I first got on the board and my colleagues, and we all became the new Harlandale, that new board that has a determined vision and that focus, we've come a long way. Hey. People thought we weren't going to be able to make it. They said, oh no, it's not ever going to change. There is change. There has been change. And there is more change coming if we take on the responsibility of success for our children. And I don't mean just the board. I mean administration, and I mean the community. Sure. It takes a village. It really does. We can only do so much by ourselves. We need to come together. I've always said this, Harlandale, we can agree to disagree. And sometimes we disagree more often than we agree. But when it comes to children, when it comes to the success of our children, we all gather, we come together, we put our differences aside, and we do what needs to be done. Okay,
so the task force, I mean, there's a lot of questions I have about that, but we don't even get to the task force unless this bond passes. So if and when the bond passes, would you be willing to come back on here to describe more how the task force would function? Because there's a lot of questions I have, and I know the community has about that.
Of course. You know, I wish we could talk more about what this committee is going to do or should do or what is going to be responsible for, but we need the bond to pass first. If the bond passes, I will be glad to take another invitation to be interviewed. I know administration would too. And when that bond passes, if that bond passes, we will have more clear idea of what that task force is going to be responsible for. Because let me tell you, just like you are making myself accountable because I'm the board president and I am holding my colleagues accountable as the community holds us accountable, that committee is going to have a huge responsibility as well. Right. A huge responsibility of coming together and deciding what needs to be done, what that $30 million is going to be for, where it's going to be allocated, because they will be coming to the board and presenting their recommendation. So there's responsibility all around, as there should be. So
the district will actually provide the task force with a list of, as I understand it, 50 different priorities that they believe are things the task force should choose from. However, my understanding is that the task force will not be married to that. The task force can determine whatever it is that they want to see happen with this money.
You know, I know that the administration is going to provide that task force with a needs assessment list. We have gone around our campuses, our facilities, our classrooms, and allocated what on that list has priority. What is it that we still need to do for the children? What resources and what tools need to be provided? I would hope that the committee looks at that list and understands that, hence it's called a needs assessment list, and that they would realize that that is a priority for a reason behind it. If this bond passes, we can open the conversation for more. But until then, we have a list that has to be presented, or no, not has to. We want to present it because we've already made a list of number 1 has more of a needs assessment than number 36. Okay. And so we will explain to them why we put those in that category, why we numbered them that way, and certainly why we feel those are in the most needed areas. Okay. So there'll be a lot of open conversation with that task committee and administration. If the bond passes, we need to get that bond to pass so that we can have that open conversation with that committee.
Well, I want to thank you for clarifying more about that because that was a really big part of the deal. I want to ask you some more about the transformative things that this bond would provide for the community and how you view it as the board president. So this would all happen under your tenure. We're going to get to that right after this.